Today I'm going to show you how to do a Bengkung Belly Wrap. It's an ancient Mongolian tradition, postpartum tradition after you give birth. I've been doing it now for 5.5 weeks.
5.5-week-old.
Had our baby 5.5 weeks ago, and I've been really happy with how this belly binding has been working for me. It helps to pull in your abdominal muscles. It aids your stomach in shrinking back to its natural size, and I feel like already I could see quite a difference. I don't have, with my first two, I had definitely a belly that stayed there for several years, actually. But now, just doing this, I feel like it's really helping me gain back my natural physique.
Skinniness. Right, Valen, Mama's skinny, right? Skinny and fit.
Yes, skinny. So this is a 40-foot long piece of muslin fabric. It's undyed natural muslin, and it's pretty firm. It doesn't have much of a stretch, but it's quite comfortable when you wear it. Usually when I put it on in the morning, I put it on first thing in the morning. That way your everything's in the position it should be in. You just bind yourself up. I wear it all day long until evening, right before going to bed, and then I take it off then, and I do not sleep in it.
And you've done it like every day since birth, a couple days after birth?
I started 5 days after birth.
That's what they recommend, right?
Yeah, they usually recommend waiting 5 days. Some people start as soon as 2 days afterwards, but I waited 5 days and then started at that point.
And why do it first thing in the morning? There's something about like your organs being where they should be instead of...
Yeah, especially after you've given birth, you know, there's a lot of room here and your organs can start shifting because you have your belly's shrunk down after having your baby, but there's still a lot of space. So sometimes your organs can kind of sag downwards, and if they're lying low in your abdomen and then you bind yourself up, they say it could be problematic. So first thing in the morning is the best thing to do, or I've also read that if you don't get to do it first thing in the morning and you still want to do it that day, you just lie down on a flat surface like the sofa or your bed or the floor, prop your feet up at a 90-degree angle against the wall and just sort of hang out that way for 10 minutes or so to kind of let your body reset. And then you could start doing the bind, which I am going to show you how to do right now. So it looks daunting, 40 feet of fabric, and it looks like it's very time consuming, but it's really not that bad. It usually takes me about 5 minutes in the morning. So first thing you want to do, leave a little tail, maybe about 6 to 8 inches at the top. Reach your hand straight up. Put your other hand down where your pelvic bone is, because that's how long you need to have it. And then you take the remainder, just sort of hang it over your shoulder. And with the long tail of the fabric, start to unravel it and wrap it around. You want to start right around your hip bones and your pelvic bone. And just kind of pull the fabric around you.
Mama?
Yeah, Mama's making a video right now about how to do this so it can help other people.
When you have it around you, just kind of pull it nice and taut. Take this piece that's over your shoulder, wrap it down and around like you're starting to tie a knot. You're not going to go all the way, but you're going to do that first knot like this. And then you continue with another wrap around.
And usually Sunmarie does this under her clothes, but for this demonstration, just showing it this way, which I think you can just leave like this too, right?
Yeah, you could just wear it like this. It depends on your comfort level. You can wear it over a tank top if you don't like the fabric right against your skin. But I usually wear it directly on my skin. So I was going to show you the second loop. It's slightly different. You're just taking this strap from over your back. You're draping it over the front, pulling it through the back, pulling it tight, and then putting it back over your shoulder, and it creates this knot right here. So then you continue around. Every time you do a loop, you'll be creating one of those knots. Every time you wrap it around you, you want to make it nice and tight and as flat as possible, spreading the fabric out behind you. This wrap gives your back, your lower back especially, excellent support while you don't have abdominal muscles to do that. So here I go, wrapping it around again, pulling it tight, have a second knot. I'm going to continue around. The whole time being mindful of, you know, keeping my belly where I want it. So, you know, making sure it's not too loose. I'm not hanging the fabric too loosely around my belly. It's giving support. So here it comes to the front again. Bend this over, pull it around, make it tight, put it back. As you can see, there's a line of knots starting to form. We'll have knots that go straight up the abdomen until the top where we stop.
And so this is your third child.
Yep.
Third child. Hey, Kaylee. And you didn't do it for the first two. This is the first one. What's your name?
Valen.
Valen.
Ah.
Or Alvin. Well, how do you feel it's been different? You know, you're 5.5 weeks in. Do you think it's helped? Do you think it's just hype?
I definitely think it helps, especially with my
Wow.
first.
Okay, Valen, that's good.
With my first, I felt I bounced back pretty quickly.
Alvin, too much pressure. Wait.
Oftentimes with your first child, your body still has that muscle memory of what your, you know, where your muscles should be and so forth. But after my second child, I had a really hard time recovering and getting back to my normal body type. I always say this wrong, the diastases recti muscles, I forget how you say them right, but the abdominal muscles sometimes pull apart, well they do pull apart when your womb expands. And after you give birth, they just sort of are hanging in there loosely. And you have to wait a long time for them to come back together. For some women, sometimes they never even do come back together, and there's a gap there, which prevents you from doing a lot of abdominal exercising, crunches, push-ups, you name it, anything that involves the abs. And it becomes very hard to get fit again if your muscles aren't back in their proper place. Because if you exercise them when they're not together, you're at risk of giving yourself a hernia or other unpleasant things. So it took me a long time to recover after our second child. I want to say a year and a half before I felt like my muscles had come back together enough, and I had this like belly that was just always there that I certainly didn't like in the summertime when we went swimming. Just felt, I don't know, affect my self-esteem a little bit too. And so it took a very long time, and at one point we went on a keto diet and we trained for a half marathon. And it was only at that point that I finally felt I got my body back, and that was nearly 2 years, a year and a half or so after having my second child, that I felt like I was back to myself. So this time around, I really wanted to try to speed up the healing process and help my body as much as possible to get its strength back. So I was researching it, and I discovered this method. I was researching a bunch of different belly binds, and I researched this one, and apparently it's very good for your health. It's been used for thousands of years, and I have seen huge improvement in just 5 weeks. I don't have the belly bulge that I've had before. I feel like this really supports my lower back, so I'm not injuring myself when I'm walking around with car seats. With my first two, I was in the chiropractor's office like every week with back pain from carrying the car seat and lifting babies and so forth. So far, so good. I've only gone to the chiropractor a couple times, and it was for my neck, not for my back. So I really do think that this is having an impact. So here I'm coming towards the top. I'm going to do a couple more loops, and then I will finish it off. Depending on how long of an abdomen you have, you may have extra fabric, and that's okay. It's up to you if you want to take that extra fabric and cut it off once you determine what your appropriate length is. I did end up cutting off about 6 feet, I think. This was originally of the 40 feet. This was originally 6 feet longer. And after wrapping myself for like a week and a half, I was confident that I'm never going to use this extra length of fabric. It's really just unnecessary, so I cut it to better fit my size. So here I am at the top. I stopped right below my chest. Some people prefer to stop right under their rib cage. I went a little higher than that. I like to keep it nice and snug. So now that I'm at the top, I'm just going to tie it off like this. And then I'm going to take the tails and just sort of go around back and tuck them in.
You know, Mama, you can just like...
Sometimes if I have a longer tail, I'll just wrap it back around and then tuck it in under the bottom. But since I went all the way up to the top this time, I can tuck it all in at the top.
You know what, Mama?
And is it? Man, hold on, set up.
So here is how it looks. You have your knots straight up the front along your belly. It's pretty firm around you. Gives a lot of support all throughout the back. Holds your belly in, pulls you in. And this aids you, especially during the first 6 weeks, which you still have a lot of relaxing in your body, so your body's slowly bouncing back. This is a way to help it to remember where you're supposed to go. Yeah,
you said you were feeling contractions even, right? When you made it like super tight.
Yeah, especially in the first few weeks after giving birth. When you wear it snug, you'll feel contractions. That's not a bad thing. It's your body, your uterus shrinking back down. But sometimes it was a little too intense, and I would take this off after a couple of hours because I didn't like the feeling. Obviously, wear it to a level that's comfortable for you. You're not trying to cinch your waist.
Is it ever hard to breathe?
No, I never make it that tight.
It's not like a corset.
It's not like a corset. It shouldn't be that tight. It's not supposed to be a waist trainer. It's just supposed to be a bind to help support your abdomen and pull you in. So you definitely don't want to make it so tight that you're uncomfortable and you're like cinching yourself off. It's just supposed to provide support and a little reinforcement to remind your body of where it's supposed to be in place.
And how much longer are you going to do this for?
They do recommend doing it for the first 6 weeks at least, but they do say you can wear it up to a year following your birth. It's entirely up to you. I think I'm probably going to wear it at least another 3 weeks. That's my thought at this time. I may decide to wear it longer, but at this point I think I made myself the goal to finish the 6 weeks, and now that I'm getting there, I might do a few weeks beyond that.
Where'd you buy it from?
I bought it off Etsy.
And what was it called again?
The Bengkung Belly Bind. It's spelled Bengkung, Bengkung Belly Bind. And you can find them on Etsy. I'm not sure if you can find them on Amazon too, probably. They're not commonly found in stores. You won't probably find these inside a Bye Bye Baby or something like that. So you gotta look around online for them. But I highly recommend it. It's super comfortable. I just wear it all day. These knots are not digging into me. You know, when I first looked at this, I was like, ooh, that looks uncomfortable. It's actually really it's really comfortable. You don't even feel it throughout the day. And it does loosen as you move throughout the day a bit, so you get a little more flexibility. Bengkung Belly Bind. Hope you enjoyed.